And we are live here to chat about tonight's episode of Arrow, which was entitled Docket number 11, 17, 41, 73, or was it 19 or something? I don't even know. Well,
I
regardless,
didn't pay attention.
it was a really long title. But more importantly than that, I've got a guest who you haven't seen in a while, and I'm so excited that she's here. Everybody say hi to Raquel.
Hi, so glad to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. Your smile makes me smile whether I like the episode or not.
Thank you.
I'm going to toss it
that.
right back to you. I want to hear what your rating is of tonight's episode. I want to see whether you did like the episode or not. So on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being like it was terrible, I didn't like anything about it, and 5 being like perfect episode of Arrow, I loved everything about it. Where are you at? And anybody else watching live, go ahead and drop your rating in the chat as well. We could chat about where you're at with it, but we'll start with Raquel.
I mean, obviously, I think something that I'm starting to really learn about myself with Arrow, it's been 6 years, but it's only now I'm catching on, is that my initial reaction to an episode deeply differs from when I've had a bit more time to think about it.
Yes,
right now,
same.
I think I'm sitting at, probably a 3.5.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think there might be something that could maybe push me to a 4, but right now I'm glad with what happened. I think what needed to be done has been done so that we can get forward with the story. But yeah, I put it at 3.5 right now.
3.5. That's a really good one. That's a fair one. It's interesting because the very first rating in the chat just popped up. Stormy also gives it a 3.5. I think she says maybe 4. And then Amanda jumped in to clarify that really long sequence of numbers that's in the title that I kind of struggled with. She said it's called Docket number 11, 19, 41, 73 to stand for November 19th, 1941, issue 73, which was the first appearance of Green Arrow.
Oh my goodness. Well, I did not know that. That's cool though. That's really cool.
I didn't know that either. That's so cool. Okay, see, that is the kind of like comic book Easter egg thing that I like. Because even if I don't get it right away, it's cool when I find out later. Like sometimes the Trick Arrow thing, I'm like, it's really cheesy. And then I find out it's a reference to some old comic and I'm like, it's still really cheesy. The title can stay. The title we like.
Right. That can stay.
Yeah, I think I'm right around there with you. I think I would maybe give it like 3.75. A few moments kind of made me want to bump it up to a 4. Kanisha Barnes says 4 out of 5. She says she loved this episode. Well, Kanisha, that is a perfect transition into what I'm going to ask next, which is, what did you love about this episode? We all just watched it like 20 minutes ago. Nobody's done notes. Nobody's had time to process. What's that moment that's still standing out in your head when you're thinking of like, if you wanted to go back and watch a couple minutes, what's the moment you guys would want to re-watch? So y'all in the chat think about that, and I'm going to toss it back to Raquel. What's that moment for you?
Immediately, what comes to mind is the scene between Oliver and Felicity. I think they were in a side room in the courthouse, and they were having a conversation about how Oliver wants to live his life. Actually, even to preface that, it's every moment that we've had in the episode where Oliver really verbalized the fact that he doesn't want to do this for the rest of his life. And I think that's something that he has done before. Like, I was trying to remember that we've got an inkling of that. I think it was in season 5, maybe. But this is the first time I think we've heard it for that length of time. So that's something that stuck out to me immediately. But then, of course, like, I really enjoyed seeing Colin. I mean, he's dead.
Yes.
This is not spoiler. You're watching, so obviously
we're all here. We're all here on season 6. You can spoil anything you want. It's very spoiler friendly.
But I think it's always nice to see like faces of people that you actually either if you cared about or they just gave a nice contribution to the show and what it is today. So it was great to have that moment where he came out of the rafters and I was like, okay, sir, what are you doing? I see you. And then actually, there's a moment I actually enjoyed. Was I don't know if I enjoyed it or if it's just coming to my mind because I was like, okay, when Laurel was sitting in on the hot seat
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's Tommy. And I was like, it's just really funny because Tommy died saving you. And now,
Right.
we're turning this all around and saving Oliver, and you're saying Tommy. Like, I thought that was an interesting moment.
Right. You know what? Speaking of Laurel, well, let's put a pin in that and come back to her. Jumping in the chat, because there were some things echoing what you said. You mentioned you loved the Elicity scene in the courtroom behind the scenes where they were talking about what Oliver wants for his life, which I thought was really interesting. Stormy says that was her favorite moment as well. The Elicity and Queen family scenes, that also includes like William and Raja. Amanda says she liked the episode a lot, even though she kind of knew in advance that Human Target was going to show up as Tommy. She did not see the appearance as the judge, so that was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Amanda says also that she thought for sure Oliver was going to do something dumb after practically saying goodbye to William. So we still got to wait a little bit to see what more dumb stuff Oliver has in store. Stormy also echoes that she loves Tommy Merlin. Again, even though it was spoiled. Brian Perez says, loved Oliver's one-on-one moments with Felicity and William, also having Tommy back even for just a little. And Kanisha echoes again the Queen family moments. So the Queen family moments seem to be winning it, which I love because we kind of start this whole series like way back in the day, season 1, attaching to the Queen family. And no matter what stupid stuff they do, we're rooting for this family to be together, to make each other better. And I think that even though a lot of the Queen family members have dropped off along the way, like rest in peace Moira, bye Thea, like all that sort of stuff. Speaking of Thea, I was feeling bad about Willa being gone, and then I found out she's hanging out with Tiffany Haddish, and now I don't feel bad for her. I just feel jealous. Anyways, it's fine though. Like, not bitter, but like, go off. Yeah, she was. Did you not see that on Instagram? She's like hanging out with Tiffany Haddish like today or within the last 24 hours.
I haven't been like properly online today yet. I'm still playing catch up. Oh my gosh.
Right? Isn't that wild? Okay. Like,
wow.
Like Thea Queen is living her best life, but we miss her. Anyway, I'm really enjoying seeing the Queen family kind of come together, form this unit of sort of like found family members, Felicity is his wife, Diggle's basically his brother, William is his son, Raja is basically like his new mom, like rest in peace Moira, no disrespect, but we kind of were cued in from the pilot that Raja kind of half raised him. Anyway, the whole thing. So really love that. And I feel like that is really influencing both the severity of the whole trial thing, because obviously he's, spent ages on these deathly islands. For sure, he could just sit in a jail cell and be fine, but it's the fact that he's going to be removed from his family.
Right.
Anyway, all of that I'll echo. Let me tell you what was almost going to be like maybe low-key my favorite moment, even though I wasn't going to admit it, and then they turned around at the end and I didn't like it anyways, so I didn't have to deal with it being my favorite moment.
What was that?
They really did start to kind of pull me in there with Siren. Like, they almost did that. They almost
did.
Yeah, right? Your face. Me at myself. They really got me almost wanting to really see her as like the big bad villain. Like, granted, I'm not attached to Dragon, so I'll take most people over Dragon anyways. But I was like, I hope she's playing everyone. Like, I know she can't fight.
Right.
But she's got powers. And like,
right.
The girl's been around a while. Like, we could give her a finale where she's the big bad villain and that's the reveal.
Right.
And she turns on everybody and cackles in the end, and it's this big meta thing, and she gets to be the villain because you like killed me and did all this shit this whole time and all that, and I'm like, would watch, would appreciate,
Right.
But no, like, she had a monologue, couldn't even kill Dragon. She's back to being a minion for no good reason because she's supposed to be stronger than it. Tell me what you thought about that, because like I was almost rooting for that to be good and it wasn't. Like, where are you at with it?
Okay, this is the thing. I had a very good friend like just really reel me into thinking about this as a writer with Siren, because I've been echoing the same thing of like saying this is Siren, who basically has the same skill set as Black Canary, and we're talking like legit Black Canary, right? Like she should be able to overpower any of these people. But then again, that just goes to the logic of like, this is what my friend was mentioning, is like, you're having metas on the show. And if we're just going to say that powers overthrows everybody, then there's no point, But what was interesting was like a note about her, or what's her mindset, is that she feels frightened of what influence he could have on other people around her. And she seems to always like I think it was on The Flash. It was at Zoom. Sorry for everyone who doesn't watch The Flash here, but on The Flash,
No, it's fine.
she was also paired with Zoom, who theoretically, if you stopped him in one place, she could kill him too. But she still sort of submitted. That's not the word, but paired herself off with him. So it's more of a psychological thing with her. So that's why I'm trying to like peel it back and be like, okay, what is going on with Siren that makes her continue to subjugate herself to these weak men? And what is she afraid of dealing with herself? Like, but no, I totally get your point of like, you had him in your clutches and then get rid of her. What is it? He had a device.
He had the thing that like stops her voice or something. I actually, you corrected yourself, but I like the word that you chose when you said that she's being sort of like submissive to these guys. And the irony, like, plug your ears if you're under 12, the irony is she dresses like a dominatrix. Maybe I should have said under 16 or 18. I don't know. She dresses like a dominatrix, but acts like a submissive. I'm not here for either one. Like, can she just be like this badass in charge? Not forever, like just for the rest of the season. Like, I'm not here to like sign a long-term contract with this, but like you can go off for a bit. Like, it's fine. Like, more than Dragon can, at least. Just one of the things you mentioned is interesting because we just got a comment about that on Twitter. Way of Life 447 says it's actually the 4th time she has paired with another villain. Savitar on The Flash. I think they might mean Zoom. Adrian Chase, Caden James, and now Ricardo Diaz. Was it Savitar or was it Zoom on The Flash?
Zoom. I thought it was Zoom.
I thought it was
Zoom because Zoom was the guy who was Hunter, right?
Right. You know what they might be confusing? That Killer Frost sided with Savitar.
Savitar, yes, that's
because Savitar was like future evil Barry, and then Killer Frost was like evil Caitlin.
And ooh, I don't want to. No, it's fine. But either way, it's been 4 people. I don't want to confuse it. I'm like, wait a second, wait. I don't know. But 4.
No, it's what she repeatedly does. There probably are other examples of it too. Frankly, I'm not so sure that her whole thing with Quentin is not just another example. It's just Quentin's not a bad guy, but she's behaving the same with him of just doing what he says.
Right. I didn't think about it like that because even when it came to that point where she said, because of you, like, I know what to do. And I'm like, sis, do you not have like anybody else who can show you any direction, like who is not male? Like,
she's like grown up 33, 35. No, she's supposed to be like a year older than Oliver. So she's 35, 36, something like that. She's a grown-up. She can make her own choices. Let me see what everybody thinks about Miss Siren in the chat. Stormy says, Siren is just a chump to me. You were willingly in this with Diaz. Now you want me to see her as a victim. I think that's a fail. Jaden Patel says, did Siren actually think she could beat Diaz at the end of the episode there? He's always prepared. He probably had a backup plan in case Siren turned on him. True, Jaden. Jayan Patel. He did have a backup plan. Kanisha says, why didn't Siren just use her gun on Dragon? Rengoku says poetic justice. Stormy says, great point. She had a gun, just suit him. And Rengoku clarifies, yes, it was Zoom. We were right about that.
Zoom? Okay,
Savitar teamed with Killer Frost. Zoom teamed with Black Siren. A lot of leather, but slightly different.
Yeah.
Stormy says, Siren does what a man tells her. Come on, have a spine. Yeah, there's this element of fragility that they seem to want us to see in her. I don't know if it's just because she's a woman or because she's some like young pretty woman or like her looks, her age, her sex, her whatever. We're supposed to see her as some sort of fragile victim. And I get it. That's what these type of shows do, but that's not how I see her. And I also think there's this element of sort of sexism and all of that with that because she's willingly killed people. She's complained that they weren't killing enough people. She's not a good person, and that's okay. The show needs people to not be a good person. It doesn't just need a bunch of heroes. The show already killed the hero version of her. We don't need another. We can only assume that that person would die as well. We need some good villains, and she can be a villain. Not everybody that has that face is like some happy mom shopping at the drugstore. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Can I just say one thing on top of that? I think, like, I first off, there was one point that someone made about the gun, and I mean, we just had an episode 2 episodes ago where we know he always walks around with Kevlar, so I don't think she would have wanted to shoot him anyways, and they're not going to show us shooting him in the head. It's CW.
Very true.
But the victim idea, I'm really wondering if maybe, because there's how many writers in this writers room.
Right.
Perhaps some are wanting to go the idea of showing someone who's fragile, but not like I'm wondering if there would be someone who would want to show that victim side, but then still recognize that this is inherently like a bad person, because you can do that. You can show, I mean, I don't know if anyone here has watched Daredevil, but Wilson Fisk, he will have some moments where you want to cry. He's one of the worst villains that they brought. He was ruthless. He would slam people's head into the ground, all kind of graphic stuff. But he had those moments where you felt bad for him. But you still knew he was bad. You still knew he was ruthless. So I wish that they would show us that, like, that they had an end game and plan for her. She could be a very complex villain. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It could be, it's sort of like, that term weaponized fragility. When somebody uses their appearance of fragility, it's usually women, usually white women, whatever, who will use the appearance of fragility as their weapon. It could be that if I thought the show was smart enough, and I don't. So they may be doing that without realizing that's what they're doing, but I'm not sure they're going to call themselves out on that and be like, surprise, she was manipulating all these guys around her by using this weaponized fragility. Like, I feel like they're just going to be like, oh no, she was fragile, because the writer's room's full of men. No offense.
Yeah. But they're getting new faces.
Yes, they are. We are so excited. I'm so excited about that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, Beth Schwartz, the new showrunner. I'm stoked about that. She's written a lot of the episodes that have been my favorites, and then she's hired a whole bunch of people for the writer's room to fill it out, which seem like really awesome faces, really good voices for these characters. So I'm pretty excited for next season. Yes. Well, let's jump back in the chat and see what y'all are thinking. Rengoku says, Quentin brought up the fact that she might be looking for a father figure in these guys since she lost her actual father figure at a young age a few episodes ago. Rengoku, I have no doubt that that's what they're writing. I just don't like that that's what they're writing. But I have no doubt that they're giving her daddy issues. Rengoku also says, to be fair, they shot Amanda Waller in the head, and they showed it too. I think Arrow Black Lightning.
That's right.
They did do that.
That is right. They did do that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was terrible.
So why can't they show Dragon being shot in the head? Like, would that...
They did do that. Oh, never mind. They could have shown that, but they can't kill him because they have 2 more episodes left, so.
They could have had Siren shoot Black Siren in the head and let their pretty little fragile Black Siren take over as the villain. What now?
Did you say Siren shoot Siren in the head?
Siren shoot Dragon in the head.
Right.
Siren,
yeah.
Did I misspoke?
I think you said
Siren shoot Dragon in the head, and then Siren be the villain for the last 2 episodes. It's sort of like a plot twist. You thought she was going to be like redeemed by Papa Lance, but no. But we already, spoilers. We know that Papa Lance is leaving the show at the end of this season. That's been announced.
That was unfortunate. I wish that hadn't come out.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Rengoku says Wilson Fisk had some amazing writing, very vicious yet sympathetic, echoing what Rochelle said. And Lance's probable death, Stormy says, will be used to redeem Siren. So yet again, her actions are led by a man. Yeah. Rengoku also clarifies, I did say Siren shooting Siren in the head. Hey, that could happen too.
That would be a lot.
All right. So we talked a lot about pros. We talked a lot about cons. We talked a little bit about some theories. I'm curious what you want to see going forward. We only have 2 more episodes. We only have 120 minutes left of this show, a whole lot less if you consider the fact that a lot of that will be commercials for other CW shows that are about to get canceled, unlike this one, which is renewed for season 7. Well, what do you want to see in those remaining 2 episodes? What's your high points?
I think the main thing that I've been discussing about the show in general is that I want to be surprised, genuinely surprised. I feel like, and I'm feeling like we're having a deja vu here. I might have mentioned this to you in season 5. But I felt like a lot of things that have happened have been things that we've been able to either predict or sort of imagine. So even, the thing that you were mentioning about Black Siren becoming the major villain at the end, that would be wow. But I mean, I don't think it's going to happen right now.
Right.
I'm pretty sure just discussing the show, I think, Dragon's going to be around for a bit longer. And I don't think he's going to be out by the end of season 6. I think that he is going to be hanging around in season 7. So what I want to see is actual consequences. Not so much in the relationships of people because or necessarily in the relationships between Oliver and Felicity. I don't want any more family drama inside here. Give them a break. Right. They deserve it. But like to see maybe now it become about the city.
Yeah.
That the city will, sorry, let me just this. That the city would be more of a character than it has been before. And I think that's something that stands out. Again, sorry to do this, Marvel, but in Marvel shows such as, Luke Cage, Daredevil, all those shows, you always feel like the city is a living, breathing entity with the characters. And I think that's something that Arrow, to a large extent, for most seasons, has been lacking. I think the closest that we got to feeling the city was season 1. And maybe, early seasons 2 when we were going through the glades. What has happened to that area? What has been happening in the city? I want to see more of those kind of stories that aren't relying.
Ages now.
What is that? Does it exist? Who knows? I mean, so I think if I was going to sum it all up, I'd say I want to be surprised. I want to see real stakes, and I hope that the new writers that are coming are going to bring a fresh, more mature tone to the stories. I don't want to feel like things are just being crammed and being done, either whether it's for ratings, whether it's for any of that kind of bureaucracy stuff, which I'm sure we can't escape to a large extent. But I'd like to see a full cohesive story from beginning to end, and it just making sense.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, especially about the idea of consequences on this show. I think has always been something that they kind of teased us with throughout this season, especially when we start the season with Samantha Watson coming in and saying, "Hey, you've broken some laws and you're abusing your place of power," and we as fans have to sit there and be like, "She's right, though.
Right.
Like he has done that. Where are the consequences for that? We don't want our political leaders doing that. We don't want our political leaders being exposed in that way because we don't want them doing things like that. We do need due process. We do need something other than sort of this totalitarianism regime. And even if it's, we're trusting that the mayor is a good guy or something, and in this case, he sort of kind of is, right? But we can't allow for that kind of structure. And a lot of what the prosecution was saying tonight was absolutely correct. There's just a little bit of but also these bad things that you didn't do. And it's like, but you did a lot of things that were against the law. And that's why you got yourself in this position. And there do need to be consequences, which is why I do think the season will end with him in jail. Just jumping into the chat to see what everybody wants to see. Brian Perez says, Elicity honeymoon. They did not get their honeymoon. We would love to see that. Amanda says, maybe Oliver will lose an arm and Felicity will spend the hiatus building him a mechanical one. Ooh, interesting. Stormy echoes that she thinks Oliver is going to jail. Rengoku says he wants to see Renee redeem himself a bit more, even though he had redeeming moments tonight. I want more from him. Rengoku says, I know many don't like him, but I liked him towards the end of season 5. I don't like Renee, but they did try to redeem him tonight. My issue, this is going to sound extremely nitpicky, but go with me here. Diggle was the one that got human target and was the one who put that whole thing together. Human Target was the one who came in and was like, I'm willing to help the team and, did the Human Target thing as Tommy Merlin and as the judge. But because Renee, quote unquote, had the idea for Human Target to be the judge, he gets all the credit for it. A, that's not that much work. I appreciate it, but that's not that much work, and you caused the problem in the first place. B, that's extremely plot convenient. If you really wanted Renee's presence in the trial to be part of what's redeeming Oliver, they could have used you know, they could have done something to say like Human Target was taking over Renee. They could have had some of Renee's past contacts or Renee's past experience and what he used to do as Wild Dog come in and help them. It was something that didn't have to do with him. It felt like a convenient thing they threw in there because they don't want to write a redemption arc for him, but they want to give him these redemption points when really that moment should have all gone to Diggle, who traveled across the world and risked his life to go get Human Target to bring him in. And Human Target was also willing to risk his life to do all of that. And Renee didn't travel, didn't do this extensive trip around the world, didn't risk his life. Anything. I don't know. That was my issue. Kind of nitpicky, but yeah.
Well, no, I think I definitely hear you on that. I think also, again, this obviously goes into 23, episodes, but they have to do something. And I guess I'm almost apathetic in some senses now to some parts of the plots that just get thrown at us, because it's like they had to do something and they just threw this here and said, this is how we're going to make it a little bit better. And we have no more time. So let's throw this at the wall. So yeah, but sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Regarding your comments about the city being a living, breathing entity, Amanda says she thinks they should leave Star City entirely and leave it all to NTA, have them deal with it, and go to Seattle. She says there's precedence in the comics for that. And regarding the comments, they were also talking about how the robotic arm thing was shown in Legends. Jane says he's just happy Roy is coming back as a season regular, which I think will be interesting with Oliver maybe being in prison. And Rangoku also says he thinks Felicity would ask for help from the other tech guys if Oliver lost an arm. So there might be a little bit of a tech team working on that. Brian says he wants them to bring back Ragman. I loved Ragman. I wasn't crazy about his powers, but that was one of the best newbies because he could take down the Diaz army. That's true. And Kanisha says, I'm happy Oliver and Diggle still have brotherly love for each other. I'm happy about that too. I would like to see them re-team back up. I love the references tonight to the fact that Diggle and Oliver's origin story and history. I thought that was so cool. Yeah. I loved it. Well, I've already kept you guys a little bit later than I meant to. Thanks for sticking with me and thanks for all the theories. But Rochelle, if they want to chat with you more about not only all these DCCW shows, but you also kind of keep up with some Marvel stuff, where can they find you and talk to you?
So you can find me at No Choice to Make. Yes, that's an Olicity call out. And Zero Choice to Make on Twitter. And I like to interact with people there, and any comments you have about Arrow, I'd love to engage. Just don't be mean. And that's great. Yeah.
She's the coolest. I have her Twitter linked in the description below, so you can find her and chat with her. She's really smart and fun, but you already know that because you just watched this. And you can find me at Cami and Ray on all the social media. You already know that. And I'm really excited that next week is the penultimate episode of this season. It's down to the wire. It's crazy.
It looks good. It looks good.
It does look good. I'm excited about it. I'm hopeful about this finale in a way that I wouldn't expect based on the fact that I don't like the villain, but what can you do?
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Have a great week. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.